To whoever's reading this, you probably don't know who I am. But I'm sorry for what I've done to you. This will probably never make it to the public, but my guilt is eating away at me, and I feel like I'm all out of options. The least I could do is get this out there, so that maybe, hopefully, someone reads this and, more unlikely, takes this seriously. That way I'm not one of the few who know just how bad we messed up and what we've done to the world. I'm sure this will read like some nutjob's manifesto, but please hear me out. I think I've helped link our world to something else out there, and if humanity isn't careful, we're going to open a door and invite something to Earth that I'm pretty sure will end us in the blink of an eye. I know that's a lot, so let me backtrack. I was an archaeologist, and a damn fine one if I do say so myself. I specialized in decoding ancient writing. That probably helped with translating most of the more popular ancient texts out there, from Sumerian to Greek to Egyptian. So, when I get a call from a small, specialized team off in Egypt about wanting some text translated on a door in a recently uncovered tomb, I don't bat an eye, and I just book it to the next flight. I keep a diary of my findings, I keep it hidden, so the guys that got me quarantined haven't taken it. It's funny, I can read the words. I understand what they mean individually, but I can't piece together my own writing. It's like my mind immediately forgets whatever it is that I read. It's gotta be an effect of the tomb. But in any case, I've decided to painstakingly, word by word, transcribe my diary here. Hopefully you can make sense of it. Day 1. You'd think that after spending days in sand-swept dunes or remote ancient locations, you get tired of it. But here I am, writing from a tent just outside of a recently excavated tomb they found here in Gilfkabir. I'll admit I'm a little apprehensive. While the door to the tomb is fascinating, I'll get to that in a minute, I don't know how anyone would have found this thing in the first place. There was no tomb marker, no statues, absolutely nothing built into or around this plateau that would indicate a tomb was hidden here. If these guys weren't using some of the latest seismic tools to map out the land, there's no telling how much longer this thing would have stayed buried. I mean, I can understand, too, their eagerness to excavate and unearth this find. It's rare to get to see an untouched tomb nowadays, especially one so isolated from any others in the map. Makes me wonder if there's a whole cache of hidden tombs just waiting to be uncovered, to share their history. It's exciting. So, back to the door. It's massive. 2 20-foot or so slabs of deep black granite. That's my guess anyway, from what they've uncovered so far. They're still whittling away at the rock surrounding it, but the glimpses I see are still incredible nonetheless. It goes without saying, but I'm most fascinated by the writing on the doors. Every single inch of the stone uncovered so far has dense lines of script like the Rosetta Stone. It's weathered to all hell, but I can identify some hieroglyphics as well as ancient Greek. I can't make out full sentences yet, but from what I got so far, I can see something about a key or an origin of some sort, and something about riches. The guys seemed to work a little faster after I plucked that word. In any case, we got a lot of work ahead of us, but this seems promising. Day 5. It's been steady going, but we've been making progress on getting this door uncovered. Rick Welson, the man leading this whole expedition, is a fair enough guy, making sure no one overworks themselves in this heat. Rick's picked a great team here. Between Jimmy, Susan, Frank, Jade, and myself, I can't think of a better team of cracking the secret of this tomb. I think we're all just excited to see what's on the other side. The only bad news so far is that years and years under soil it hasn't treated these slabs well. I'm having difficulty translating the full message transcribed. My best guess on what the writing on the door says is the key to nothing is resting here. Wealth there is none. Forgetting is a gift. Warnings are written all the time on tombs, often warning about curses or traps, but I haven't read one like this before. At our continued rate, we should have this door ready to go in a few days or so, weather permitting. Day 8. Today's the day! We got enough of the door uncovered to be able to open it. Seeing this jet black set of doors nestled into the rock really is quite imposing. The warning over and over inlaid in the door doesn't help either. Still, this isn't my first rodeo, so once we find a way to get these doors open, I'll report back later on what we've uncovered. Rick... Wait, I already wrote this. I never updated on what we found. Come to think of it, I'm drawing a blank on yesterday. I remember writing in my journal, we set up the equipment to force the doors open, and nothing. Looking out of my tent right now, the doors remain closed. I need to investigate. So I just spoke to Rick, and he's also a bit confused. When I asked him how long we've been out here, he also thought it was still day 8. I showed him my phone's date. He seemed as puzzled as I was. We gathered everyone up, and sure enough, it's like an entire day was taken away from all of us. None of us remembered what happened when we forced the doors open or why it's back to being closed. I'd like to contribute it to the sweltering heat, but I know that's not true. Something's wrong. Rick paused all further attempts until we figure out what's going on. I'm going to go back through my notes to see if I missed anything on the translations. Between the 5 of us, someone's got to remember something. Day 10. I don't know who Frank is. I wrote about him on day 5, but I have no idea why I wrote that. I've asked the whole camp. They assume that it's always just been us 5, not 6. Everyone's drawing a collective blank on what happened the day we tried to open the tomb. Everything in our brains tells us it's stupid to try again, but at the same time, when we sit in silence checking our gear, the collective desire to try again is palpable. This isn't a group so easily willing to give up. Rick seems to be in the same boat and saying that we'll try again tomorrow. Something keeps bothering me. Everyone assures me that it's always been us 5. Well, why then did we set up an extra empty cot? Why do we have a bunch of extra supplies? And those supplies, why is there a photograph of a woman and her child that no one else recognizes? I don't think anyone wants to actually sit down and think about this. Day 11. Well, take 2 for the tomb today. I didn't want to wait until the day was over to begin writing. I'll chronicle as we go today. It's a little before dawn, and we set up our supplies ready to get into the tomb. Rick had brought a very interesting new piece of technology, one I haven't seen before. A crate of self-navigational micro-drones. According to Rick, these things can safely fly into an unknown space, and through a bit of 3D mapping capabilities, fully map the inside of a tomb in a matter of minutes. A part of me feels like it takes a little bit of the fun out of exploring a place that man hasn't set foot in for years, but I also recognize just how dangerous these places are. It looks like the team's getting ready to crack the door open and set the drones in. Once we have a good idea of what's in there, we'll head in. The drones took an hour to map the area. Rick seemed concerned slightly, explaining to me that he's never seen them take this long. When we opened up the laptop to look at the scanned area to say that we were stunned is, that's an understatement. This place is huge. If we were on an island off of Greece, I would have sworn this was the very maze that homed the Minotaur and the Mitt. The sheer time it would have taken to carve out the winding tunnels with multiple dead ends back hundreds of years ago is comparable to the pyramids hundreds of miles away. We were expecting a long trek in there, but at least we have a clear path to the central chamber. With luck, I'll update later today on our findings. The energy of the group is a little strange. There's excitement for sure, but I can't get my translation out of my head. Forgetting is a gift. It doesn't make sense. None of it does. Tomb, it's empty. It's kind of empty. So right after my last update, we went inside the tomb, and immediately entering, the solid black granite was much cooler than the outside Egypt heat. We used the map that the drones created and followed the winding path deeper inside. The only noise audible was the sound of our own footsteps against the solid stone. It really did feel like we were the first ones in there. The main room also showed no signs of anyone else before us, or maybe they just didn't leave a trace. It was a large room that seemed like it should be filled with priceless artifacts. But there was nothing except for the coffin. This goes against most Egyptian burials. They believe that you brought your possessions with you to the afterlife. Why were there none in this room? At first we thought that we had found the tomb of someone infamous, someone who did something so horrible the Egyptians wanted to forget about them, but opening the sarcophagus led to only more questions. It was empty. I still don't think anyone got to it before us, as it took us a lot of effort to pry open the lid to the strange sarcophagus seated in the dead center of the room. It too was made of a similar material to the doors and the walls. It was solid black granite. It wasn't carved into a person's visage like most sarcophagi, but instead covered in writing. I took plenty of photos, which I plan to review for translation soon. And once we got the lid open and peered inside, however, we were greeted with nothing. An empty black coffin. We searched the inside looking for a lever, a switch, writing, something. He was empty. The smooth, solid black of granite almost made it look like we were peering into an empty void. My conclusion? I think this was a tomb that never got filled. Something went wrong, and whoever was supposed to be buried here wasn't. Clearly it was someone not liked, so they went ahead and probably dropped him in a ditch, called it a day. While a part of me is a little disappointed, this was still an interesting find, even if it's due to the irregularity of the tomb. Some of the others want to scope out some of the other dead ends to see if anything was missed before we wrap it up here and report our findings. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious to take another peek in there myself. Day 12. I couldn't sleep last night. Just as I felt like I was finally dozing off, it sounded like someone was mumbling or whispering in their sleep. I didn't recognize whose voice it was, and even when my eyes adjusted to the darkness of the tent, I couldn't see anyone's lips moving. Despite this, I've been making solid progress on my translation. A lot of it seemed to repeat the warning on the door. Some of the new stuff talks about a voice translated to your voice. It could also be my voice. It's tough to discern the context. I'll keep working on it. I think it may not have just been me who didn't get much sleep last night. Everyone's acting a little weird. This morning I saw Jade push Jimmy as he was bent over looking at our supplies. Now, naturally, Jimmy was pissed. What's weird, though, is that Jade was immediately apologetic, claiming she just had the urge to do it. It wasn't just her, though. I watched Rick purposely bend the antenna to one of the handheld radios we have, only to then try to fix it, cursing under his breath. I'm not sure what's going on. It happened to me, too. I was eating lunch, and I just poured out my water. I don't know why. It was like I had the thought to do it, and I really wanted to, so I did. I didn't do it involuntarily, at least. I don't think I did. I just chose to act on that thought. With how fast it came and went, though, it honestly felt like it wasn't even my own thought. I'm not sure what's gotten into me. Something's wrong with us. Susan came out of the tomb frantic. Her and Jimmy just went into the cave a half hour ago. Jimmy wasn't with her when she came out. Susan told us that Jimmy jumped. They were checking out some of the other branch paths, and they came across a pit, and she said they both stared at it for some time before he just leapt. Like he was diving into a swimming pool, she said. We were ready to head in and see what we could do to get him out, but she made it clear that after a few moments of silence, she heard him land. Then silence returned. Rick's made it clear no one's going back into the tomb, and he called the institution funding our dig to get us a ride out of the desert. While we wait for a ride to show up in the next few days, I'm going to try to translate more of this sarcophagus, mostly to keep my mind off of what's happening, but a piece of me also feels like this is important. There's something we missed. Day 13. What did we let out? I couldn't sleep last night, so at some point I must have scribbled what I wrote earlier. I'd be lying if I said I remember writing that, though. I think it's what I'm secretly afraid of, that was a sealed coffin. I'm not really superstitious, but what if we were cursed? Like, I feel ridiculous writing that, but things they've only been getting worse. I keep getting strange little urges. Light all of our matches, rip a hole in our tent, draw a deep line in the sand with my foot. As fast as they arrive, they leave, but it's tough to act against them. I can see everyone on edge. They must be dealing with the same thing. I need to deal with my translations today. This might prove to be the distraction I need. He will be your voice, but your actions will be his. Everyone will be the key to the coming nothing. Who is he? What did we let out? Nothing? Nothing is coming. Is nothing a thing? Or a state that we'll reach? I'm going to keep this to myself. I don't want the rest of the crew freaking out. This doesn't sit right, though. He will have my voice, but my actions will be his. Is this what we're all experiencing? What's going on? Who is in my head? Whatever I wrote ends there. I can't remember much from our time by the tomb. Only bits and pieces. I can remember the tomb itself. I remember we opened it. My solid memory kicks up right when we were being driven back. The driver kept asking us if there were more people, but we were sure that there were only the 4 of us. He seemed to hesitate on that information, but if I'm being honest, the guy was a little weird anyways, driving us back to the base of operations. Kept swerving the car back and forth, just for the fun of it, it seemed. Everyone's been acting weird around us. It's subtle, but I've seen a guy impulsively kick over a waistband. Another guy he bit his cheek hard enough to bleed a little. Didn't take long for a few guys in suits to step in, ask us about what we remember down in the tomb. They've had us in quarantine for some time now, but I think whatever they're trying to quarantine, it's far too late. I've heard them use the term intrusive thoughts in passing, and I think that's the best way to describe what I've been feeling, these thoughts that I have. I wish I knew what to say. If this ever gets out there to whoever's reading this, please, you can't listen to that voice when it calls. I don't know what that voice is. what it's inching us towards with these little actions. But if a butterfly flapping its wings can cause a typhoon on the other side of the globe, I shudder to think what the small actions of the entire world might be leading to. I don't know where I heard this advice from, but I feel like it fits the situation. Just forget about those thoughts. Don't let your mind dwell on them. Sometimes forgetting is a gift. Hey there kids, it's me, MrCreepyPasta, and I just wanted to tell you thank you so much for watching tonight's video or for listening to tonight's episode of the podcast. And as always, I want to give a very big thank you to everybody who supports me over at Patreon. That's patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. I cannot thank you guys enough. You guys have been there when I'm struggling like I have over the past year, and it sincerely helps me stay alive. So thank you guys so much for being supporters. That goes for everybody who was down in the description, as well as AcidSystem, BallarmsTheRat, Blake Rattler, Mendoza, Brenna, BrimstonePandemonium, Caltuna, Chainsmoker Dealer, ChicagoHitman, CoryxKenshin, Cronut508, CrusaderChocobo, CursepoxPrimarch, Dakota Best, Poulsen, Dante Kinkade, Kraus, Ellie Hutmire, Enchanted Buns, Estebean, Gemma, HIDive nephew, Jerry, Hour Minute Seconds Time, J Keems, Jedis Pet, Jordan Humble, King Crab, Mr. Marcus Blitz, Old Penguin, Peaceful Buddha, Psychomel, Red Shadowcat, Remember the Sun, Rinku Star, Salty Surprise, Samara Line, Seclude, Simba's Bloody Mojo, Sky Harbor, Smiley the Psychotic, Sullyman, Tali Sue, the Chavez Brothers. Thank you so much. And honestly, thank you to everybody, even those guys that are in there for just $1, it really helps me out. Once again, that's patreon.com/MrCreepyPasta. Or if you guys like to just listen, honestly, that helps me out a lot too. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for listening, thank you for watching, and sweet dreams.